Well guys, welcome back to Vanover Customs. Today's video I'm super excited for. You all know that I love tools and I love equipment, and so today's video we're going to be going over some of the top small tools that I use in my shop day in and day out that I have a deep passion for. Now we have a wide gamut of stuff on this list, from machinist tools, measuring tools, automotive tools, and even some stuff that isn't really a tool. So there should be something in there for everyone. We're going to go ahead and jump right in with the first item, which isn't even a tool, but I use it every single day. The first object on our list here is this venerable boom box by JBL. Paid full retail for this, and I've had it for like 4 years. It was in my old shop and it was right next to my welding area, and so it would get grinding dust all embedded in the grill, and it would actually make it behind the grill into the speakers. So every like 6 months I'd have to pull it apart and pull out all the welding, or not welding dust, the grinding dust from the magnets, and then it would sound good again. But I think what I love the most about this thing is it's durable. This thing has undergone grinding dust, paint, you can see how rough it looks. And this thing sounds great, it works great, and it's nice and portable. I used to have inbuilt sound in my old shop, and I thought about doing that here, but frankly, with how good these sound, how cheap they are, and how portable they are, this is just a much better option than wiring in stationary speakers and having a receiver and all that stuff. So this is something I use every day, and I love this thing. Next item on our list is this venerable Mitutoyo Absolute Digimatic Caliper. And I use this thing constantly. Let me tell you what, I've used the Starrett ones, I've had the Shars ones, I've had the Chinese ones, and without a shadow of a doubt, this caliper is the best of them all. But what makes this so good is I can trust it. And I know that that may seem a little strange, but when it comes to measuring equipment, when there's failures, you just begin to doubt it. And because this thing is so rock solidly accurate and reliable, I trust this thing so much. Anytime there's an issue, I know that it's a user error. Whether it's a chip stuck in there or something jammed or not needing to be cleaned, I know that it's my fault, and that's why I love this thing. This thing is so reliable. I hate to admit it, but I've dropped it, I don't know, 50 times. It's probably fallen off a machine 10 times, and this thing does not die. I don't know that I've changed the battery in that whole time, and that is amazing. I love the fact that you turn it on and it stays on for a long time, and then it automatically turns off. And every time you pick it up, it always zeroes out, and it's just reliable. It's just rock solid reliable, and for whatever reason, I have no idea why, but sometimes a company will make a product and it just doesn't need any improvement. And that's kind of rare, and this is that product. The only problem with this product is not owning more of them. Like, I will not buy other calipers. Recently I picked up some Shars units just to see, like, are they as good? And they're not bad, but they're obviously not as good. And so these are kind of pricey, but I need to pick up a couple more of these. And yeah, I absolutely love these calipers. If I had to start an automotive shop from the beginning, this is the first tool that I would buy. Let me tell you what, air tools used to be a thing when I started working on cars 15 years ago, not anymore. You know, there's one air tool that I still use for cars, and I'll get into that because it's also an amazing tool. But battery stuff has pretty much entirely replaced air tools. And whether it's working on cars, equipment, lathes, mills, whatever it is, an impact driver is so crucial. And this one specifically is my absolute favorite. Now this is a Milwaukee, I think it's a Gen 1 half-inch high torque impact driver, and this thing is awesome. It will remove stuff, I think up to 1,400 foot-pounds of torque, which is pretty much insane. If it can't remove it, it can pretty much break it, and this thing is stupid reliable. I don't know how old it is, maybe 3, maybe 4 years old, never had an issue. Now I know that they did update this product at some point along the life cycle and they had a bunch of problems. Why? Because they took something that was good and they made it worse. And they did something with the gear set in there and they were having lots of problems. And then with the newer generation, they kind of went back to the old version, and this is the old version. If this breaks, I'm gonna fix it, and I'm gonna fix it with the old parts because it is stupid reliable, it's got tons of power, and it works every single time. It's perfect for lug nuts, although a little bit overkill. And just frankly, at the end of the day, it works, and it works better than an air impact gun. It's more portable, it's more reliable, and you just feel awesome when you pull this guy out and you take off a crank bolt or you take off a machinery bolt with little to no fuss. I love this thing. When you're standing in front of a lathe all day, day after day, you start to build a relationship with your tools. And although I'm not in front of my lathe every day, it seems more and more as time goes on, I'm there more time every week. And during that time, you start to really build a relationship with the tools you like and with the tools you don't like. And when I started out on the lathe, one of my go-to tool holders was a CNMG style tool holder. And that is probably one of my favorite tool holders. But over the last couple years, I have switched to this style of tool holder and I absolutely love it. So this is a DNMG style of tool holder, all right? And it's just sitting in this Alloris CA1 from my big lathe. And I'm using, I don't even know what insert is in here. This is not about the inserts. But what I love about this tool holder and this geometry of the tool holder is I can get in nice and tight, but I don't really lose much durability. What I love about the CNMG style of tool holder is that it's super robust. I can take some nice heavy cuts. But with this style of insert, I found that I can also take some really nice cuts and I have some really good surface finishes and really good chip action. But I also have the ability to get in and get some finer cuts and to get in tighter to those shoulders. And so I'm sure this will change over time. But as of right now, my favorite tool holder is this DNMG style tool holder. It's just so good. I love it very much. And when I'm talking about tool holders, specifically, if it's not the tool holders, which do all the work, kind of my second favorite thing is tool holder, like tool holders. They're both called tool holders, but whatever these blocks are called, they're also called tool holders. I love these things. Alloris makes them. They have off-brand ones. I have some Dorian ones for the Lion lathe. And for whatever reason, I just love collecting these things. They are the backbone of doing work on the machine. And the more of these you accumulate, the more you can set up with certain tools on centerline and swap them out efficiently. And they're very expensive. So by the time you buy the actual holder and then the also other tool holder, it gets kind of pricey. But over time, you can collect quite a fair amount of these. And like on the blue lathe, I probably have 20. And on the small green lathe, I probably have 10. I need to get another 10. And on the big green lathe, I only have 6. But to have these set up with your specific tool holders is so, so nice. And the build quality on the Alloris and Dorian ones is just way better than the import. The imports work totally fine. I have nothing against them, but I just absolutely love when I can utilize my Alloris and Dorian tool posts with these holders. There's just something about a joy that it brings me when I have my tool holder set up right and my tool holder set up right with the inserts. It's just awesome. Sometimes not all heroes wear capes, and these, I love these things, but they're not fancy. They're not expensive, and they're not rocket science. I seen these things when I saw Adam Savage's tested recommendation for tools, and I picked up a set, and I have been loving them ever since. Probably one of my favorite things to do is to just say the name, Bond Huss. It kind of sounds weird. Sometimes I'll go around in my shop just saying Bond Huss. And I love these things. I use them every day. I think one of the best things about these is the fact that they come in a nice kit. The handles are comfortable, and for whatever reason, I don't know what they do, but the way that they make the hexes, they have a really nice fit in Allen-headed bolts, and they just don't break. I think I've had this kit setting next to my lathe for like 3 years, and I recently purchased a set that's a little bit shorter, and just love these things. I think a set like this is like 50 bucks, completely worth it. I've used these things so much that all the sizes are worn off the handles, and with machinery you're using a lot of socket cap bolts, and these are really nice and convenient. They have a ton of leverage, and these ones actually have the ball on the end. So look how long this is, like loads of leverage, loads of clearance, and the ball you can get in nice and tight. And I just absolutely love these things. They're nothing fancy, but I use them all the time. Whether it's machinery or cars, I'm always using this bad boy. This thing is a Milwaukee extended reach ratchet. I think it's Gen 1. I think the newer generation has a more low profile head and maybe a little bit faster, but you can tell I constantly use this thing. We were talking about air tools earlier. The replacement air tool for this is an air ratchet, but man, this is so convenient because it's battery powered. Now I have the original version of this, which is shorter, but what makes this guy awesome is the fact that it's extended. Part of the problem with this design is how bulky it is, and so by extending the head, you take the bulk and you kind of move it to the side, and you have a more low profile area over here. And it's kind of a niche tool because it's extended, right, as opposed to the regular stuff. But when you're working on cars especially, the reach that this thing provides when you're doing work on timing components or in tougher areas is awesome. This thing has been super reliable. It's rock solid, has had 0 issues. My only complaint with it is that I don't have another one, and I don't have one that's longer with more low profile head and a flexing head. And that's just normal, right? When you're working in tight areas, you're always gonna want something more low profile and more tight, and that's always gonna be the case no matter how small it gets. But this thing is awesome. If you work on cars, this is the best cordless ratchet in my opinion. I know that they have a newer model that may be good as well. I haven't gotten it, but compared to like the Icon and the Blue Point and everything, this thing is absolutely awesome. And when it comes to working on machinery, this thing is great as well. Getting in tight spots, using the tool for what it's designed for, running a tap in to clear a hole, all kinds of stuff. These things are awesome. And obviously being battery power, you can take it around and bring it wherever you want. I absolutely love this thing. Well, in a similar vein to the last one, we got these super expensive swivel impact sockets. Now you guys know that I love quality, and these are no different. I have some Sunex swivel sockets, and they're good as well, but of course, in some cases, Snap-on is the best of the best. And when it comes to sockets, you know, they're pretty much top dog. Now, recently, there have been some other companies that are making some really nice stuff, but what I love about Snap-on is specifically with the hand tools and the original stuff that they were really good at making, sockets, ratchets, wrenches, the stuff fits the fasteners better, it lasts longer, and all you gotta do is give them a call. I don't have a dealer, so I just call them up, give them a part number, and when something's broken, they mail me a new one. And for that reason, it's worth it for me. I was just looking at buying a 3-jaw puller the other day, and the Snap-on one's like 3 times the cost, but I know that I'm gonna strip that and break that and bend the arms. So for me, it's worth it to spend the money on the Snap-on unit because all I gotta do is give them a call and they'll send me a new part. And so for that reason, I absolutely love it. Now, specifically with these swivel ones, they're impact, so I can put them on my 3/8 impact, the ratchet, everything. I love that. And whether you're working on machines, cars, equipment, you just never have enough room. And these are really, really nice. The only problem with these is that I don't have all the sets. So this is a complete metric set, and metric is 90% of what I do. However, they make a mid well size and a deep well size, and I would really love to have that. but I think these are like 300 bucks or something. So they're pretty pricey, maybe even more. I might have even purchased these used, to be honest, because they are really, really expensive, especially if you get a complete set, but they are 100% worth it. I've lost these, I've replaced these, they've replaced some of these, and you know, if you don't use something like this, you don't know what you're missing because you don't use it. But if you purchased a set of these and started using these, you'll be surprised how much you just grab one of these instead of a normal socket, and it will prevent you in a lot of instances where you would have needed a swivel from using one. And so they're just efficient. Anytime I get a Starrett tool and I show my wife, she always has the same reaction when she sees the box. It's so nice, it's so cute. Wow, that's beautiful. And that's what I absolutely love about Starrett. Now, looks are not everything, but when you open a Starrett box and you see the pride that goes into the box and you pull out an item like this, even when you show it to someone who doesn't do machining, they know its quality. And this item is such a nice piece that every time you use it, you feel good. And that is what I love about this. Now, I don't have all the sizes of this 91 series, but I do have 3 of the 4, and man, in the past, I hated tapping. But I'll tell you what, when I whip one of these guys out and put a nice spiral tap on there, I feel good because the quality is just there. And these things are awesome. Not only do they function great, but they look amazing. My only complaint with this is that they don't make this in the bigger sizes. I think this is the largest size they make, and it's great, but I run taps that are much larger than this, and I just wish that Starrett made larger sizes, all the way up to 3 and 4 feet long, and I would buy them. I do have some really nice Greenfield older stock that's in good condition, and I love those as well. But man, there is nothing like a Starrett tap wrench in terms of just the feel, the fit, the finish, and the quality. I love this tool so much. Something that we don't talk about a lot on this channel, which I would love to chat more about, is video equipment. And it's kind of, you know, breaking the fourth wall because you're watching a video, so there's no point to draw attention to it because it disturbs watching the video. But I think there's a lot of really cool stuff that you may not notice when it comes to making a video. And I'm not going to get too in-depth on that here. We'll hopefully do another video talking about the camera equipment that I use and that I really enjoy. But I picked one item here to kind of represent the camera equipment, and that is my favorite lens. This is a Canon 85mm 1.2, and this is like the holy trinity of lenses, right? Between this and a couple other 2 lenses, we can pretty much cover a wide range of shots. But this specific lens is extremely expensive and it's extremely good. With a long focal range, like an 85, you can get some super liquid shots. Shots where the background is extremely blurred and the foreground is super sharp. And this lens, I don't know what it goes for new anymore, $1,500, $1,800. It's super expensive. And I don't use it all the time because of the long focal range, but anytime you see some really nice shots, it's probably from this lens. So hopefully I can use this thing more and more, but the one con with this lens is that when you have it in autofocus mode, the camera that I'm using isn't quite as fast as the lens, and so it tends to hunt a little bit, and that drives me crazy. So I don't really use it as much as I would like, but that's not the lens's fault. That's the camera's fault, but we can get into that on a different day. But I absolutely love this Canon 85mm lens, and hopefully I'll get to use it more and more each day. One thing I've learned over the years is that they don't make them like they used to. And with this item, we have an old school product combined with a new school tool, and that is this Starrett Noga setup. So I have many indicators in my shop, but this is my favorite setup. First off, this Noga arm is massive and the base is super magnetic, and it works great for getting really nice setups on machines and just checking to make sure runout is at a minimum. So I love that big boy stand. Most importantly though is this indicator. And I seen A-Bomb 79 use this, and it was in a super old video of his, and I thought, oh, I'm gonna give that a try. And I ordered this and I love it. My favorite thing about this is that it's large. So this indicator has an extra large face, and for whatever reason, I don't know if I'm getting old or what, probably not, I'm only 30 something. But it makes reading the indicator way easier because the face is twice as big. And not only that, because it's an old model, the face is actually glass, unlike some of the newer Starrett indicators that I've bought that have a plastic face. So between the high build quality of this indicator and the reading size and this beefy Noga arm, I just absolutely love anytime I have to pull this guy out to check or to set something up. Well, I know there's going to be some of you guys that share the same passion for this tool that I do, and that is this big, nasty air hammer. Now, I don't remember what this thing is originally called, but that's what Eric over at South Main Auto calls it because of how awesome this air hammer is. It's a 498 shank, which basically is just the size of the air tool bits, and this thing packs a punch. I do have the super expensive snap-on one, and that one is better in terms of finger control at the trigger, but when something is stuck, whether it's a piece of equipment or a car or whatever, this is what I reach for. This thing hits harder than any other air hammer that I've tested. Now, like a lot of you guys, I've watched the newer torque test channels videos comparing air hammers, and there are a couple that do hit harder. However, this is the one that I have, and this one never lets me down. It's super reliable and it's super powerful. And every time I grab this thing, I just yell out big nasty, and I get right to work just pounding whatever I'm gonna be hitting with this. I have the long extensions to get in tight places, but 90% of the time, I keep this bit right on the end. And I've had this for probably 4 years, and I've never broken this bit, and nothing has ever broken on this thing. It is super reliable, it's super fun, and it's super aggressive. And so if you've had a rough day and you want to beat something up or you need to break something loose, grab this guy, put an air hose on it, throw some mirroring protection on, and just start pounding. This thing is awesome. Well, I know I'm going to get some flack for this next one, and I can assure you this is not an advertisement. And it's also not a tool, and I don't care at all about Valvoline. But this is something that I've come to love more recently since I've tried it out, and this idea is amazing. All right, and all I'm reviewing here is just this pouch gear oil. All right, I have done, I don't know, 10 gear oil flushes or transfer cases flushes in the last couple months. And let me tell you, this idea of putting the oil in a pouch is so ingenious. It's so simple, but it makes so much sense. And I just love this. I love it. And the reason why this is awesome is because normally when you're changing fluid, whatever it is, it's messy, right? I have the pump, you get out the pump and you extract the fluid and you pump it where you need to. But the reason why this is so great is you literally take off the top, and you just take it and you can squeeze the whole thing into whatever you're doing, and you basically can kind of hold it up vertical and put it in the hole and squeeze it, and you reduce the mess and you reduce the time, and it's just awesome. It makes so much sense. I don't know why someone didn't come up with it earlier. I know it completely rules out or makes useless my really nice pump, but this thing, even though it's a couple dollars more, I will pay it every time. It takes like draining a diff and refilling it and making it kind of a sucky job, and makes it crazy fast and crazy awesome to do, because when you're pumping, there's a decent amount of effort and it takes a decent amount of time. When I take one of these and I cut off the top, I can literally put 1 quart of oil into a differential in about 7 seconds. That is crazy. So yeah, this is a Valvoline product. Actually, I kind of like Mobil 1, but I don't think they have one of these pouch options. But basically what I'll do is I'll use the fluid and then I'll keep the pouch. And anytime I've got to transfer fluid somewhere, I just pour it in here and then I'll use this container to transfer fluid. I don't do that for oil and stuff where there's like a big spout, but anything like a machinery gearbox where there's like a hole or a differential or a transfer case or anything, this system is just genius. And it's so basic, and I absolutely love it. So it's a newer tool to me, or newer idea, but it's just great. I love it. Well, this item is a little unexpected, and it has a story, which I'm gonna tell. So about 15 years ago, me and my buddy TJ went to school for automotive, and during that time, we bought a lot of tools. Well, this is something that he actually bought and didn't end up using it, so he sold it to me. I don't even remember what I paid for it. And I don't have any Cornwell tools, and you may not have even heard of them, but they are one of the big tool brand manufacturers: Snap-on, Mac, Matco, Cornwell, right? And for whatever reason, I just love this set. And I'm gonna open it up, show you what it is. It's nothing special. It is a set of Allen wrench sockets. And I think it has a lot to do with working on machinery, but even working on cars, I use this set all the time. I think what I love the most about it is it's all in one place, both short and long, metric and standard, and it's in this case. And this case and this set has got to be, well, yeah, about 15 years old, and I have never broken a single item, and if I did, it would be warranted by Cornwell. And it is just such a good set. It also has Torx in all the sizes, and I do have a nice Snap-on Torx set, so I don't use it that much, but I just love how it's in one set, and I'm constantly grabbing this set and moving it all over the shop. You can see how dirty it is, how discolored the case is, and like I talked about earlier with some of the other tools, sometimes you just build a relationship with a tool. And because I've had this for such a long time and I've used it so much, this tool is something that I just cannot live without, and I'm constantly using it, and I'm always surprised because I don't have any Cornwell tools. I have no love for Cornwell, and yet I just absolutely love this kit. This kit is like something that I just take with me if I could only take a couple tools, and I think for that reason I wanted to include it in this video. I'll tell you what, I have a lot of pride being American, but right in line with that pride, I have a ton of pride for Japanese-made products. And even behind that, I have a ton of pride for German-made products. Between the US, Japan, and Germany, you see the world's best products. And what we have in front of me is absolutely no different. From the land of Germany is one of my favorite companies in the world, and that is Knipex. I love Snap-on as much as the next guy, but Snap-on pliers have nothing compared to Knipex. Knipex dominates in terms of innovation and in terms of durability and quality. And as much as I would love to grab every pair of Knipex pliers and put them up here, if I had to pick one, I would pick these 10-inch pliers wrench. These things are such an amazing invention. They're adjustable, they have a smooth jaw, so for bolts, they don't scratch, and when you lock them, the mechanical leverage is over center, so you don't have to worry about holding this tight to maintain that. It auto kind of locks. And so it's just a brilliant, brilliant idea, and I love these things. These are, I don't know, 5 or 7 years old, and honestly, they don't even look that old. I've hit them with a grinder or something there, and you can see that. But if you clean these up, these would look nearly brand new, and I think that's a testament to the really nice coating that these things are coated with, the really well-dipped handles, and just the general construction, that not only do these wear extremely well and hold up great, but they look great and function even better. And that is what I absolutely love about certain German products, is just the level of pride they put into creating beautiful and functional tools. And I think this pair of pliers I use constantly, and the only problem with this, like a lot of the other tools we talked about, is that I don't have enough of them. I have 2 sets at this size, and they make them in all different sizes, and I would really love to get some bigger ones and smaller ones. Now, is this a replacement for a wrench? Absolutely not. But there are so many things in the shop that you need to do quickly, and this is kind of like a better version of an adjustable wrench. It's at least quicker and better in some cases, and I just absolutely love this guy. This next tool I carry with me every day. This is like an EDC item. I purchased this when I was doing remodeling. I think it's been 7 years, and it hasn't broken. I absolutely love this knife. I use it for pretty much everything cutting related and a lot of prying related things as well. They don't make it anymore in this exact configuration. They do make a fastback, but it's not the same. And I absolutely love this knife. There's not really a whole lot to say here, but this is something that I carry with me in my pocket all the time, and it gets used on a daily basis, and you can just kind of tell that it's in rough shape, but it still works, and I just like how it folds up and kind of flips out real nice and is nice and durable. If you ever stop by my shop, you might be lucky enough to find me wearing one of these. There are people out there that like headsets and people that don't. And I never used to be someone that liked a headlamp, but you know what? It just makes a lot of sense. You put it on your head, and for me, I get headaches a lot, so it actually kind of helps put some pressure on my head and minimizes a little bit of the likelihood of a headache, and also just allows you to have light anywhere you're working. And I can't tell you, if I'm working on a machine or a car or a piece of equipment, this thing is always there with me. I've used a lot of them, and I do think that I like this one the most. It's a Milwaukee, and I just like how bright it is, how long the battery lasts, and it is the most comfortable and the most lowest profile in the front. So nothing fancy here, but something I use every day, and I really enjoy it. All right, this next tool is not really a tool, and I'm gonna get a lot of probably interesting comments on this, but I love math. And this calculator has been with me all the way back to high school when I took pre-calculus and I purchased this bad boy. It is a TI-84 Plus, and man, let me tell you what, I have a relationship with this bad boy. From being in math class and typing messages and sending it around to using it almost every day now when I machine, this thing is awesome. Is it overkill? 100%. I don't need this. I just need a regular calculator. I have a phone, I could use that, but I have a relationship with this guy. I've had it for such a long time, and I think one of the best parts about a graphing calculator or this style calculator for what I use is when I'm machining and I'm typing a bunch of text and I'm making a mistake or looking at a conversion, I can scroll back and scroll up to the actual math that I'm doing. So if something doesn't line up, I don't have to worry about doing a calculation and hitting enter. I can actually go back and see if I keyed it in correctly. And I cannot tell you how many times that has saved my butt. The other reason I have a really nice relationship with this calculator is anytime I'm quoting a job, I am using this thing. So anytime I am making money, I am reaching for this guy, and I'm always adding up the cost of the material and the job, and for that reason, I always have a positive experience when I grab this guy, and it is a beautiful tool that I'm constantly using. Early on in life, I used to really be a fanboy of different tools, and I still am, but as I get older, I realize that what I like most is a tool that just works, regardless of the brand. And so in recent years, I've bought things that aren't the fanboy version, and I have been less likely to convince myself that something is good just because of the brand and just look at things on face value. And in that vein, we have 2 different brand ratchets in front of me that I love for completely different reasons. This one in the back is a snap-on ratchet, And it's a simple ratchet. There's nothing crazy about it, and I do like snap-on, which I mentioned before. But the reason I picked this ratchet is because of the length. And I'm sure some other people make extra long fixed ratchets, but for whatever reason, the ergonomics and the just sheer length of this 3/8 size ratchet just make it a dream to use. The teeth are real smooth. The snap-on feel in the head just always feels nice. And the extra leverage that I get from this thing while staying low profile just really makes it a joy to use. The next ratchet, you may or may not have heard of the brand, but I love their ratchets. They might even make a better ratchet than Snap-on, and I'm okay saying that, and that is this 1/4 inch Nipros ratchet. And this guy is made in Japan, and it is beautiful. I think what I love most about this ratchet and my other small Nipros ratchet is the sound that it makes. Let me hold it up to the mic. It may sound like a normal ratchet on camera, but this thing is just nice. And these ratchets are extremely expensive. They are probably overpriced. But I think when you buy one of these and they get shipped over from Japan and you open the box, you realize the level of pride that goes into these ratchets. They even sell them in like a gold model, and the box has a really nice piece of foam, and it just shows the level of pride that goes into making these. And that's what I appreciate about this ratchet, is just the level of pride in the craftsmanship. Functionally, they work really nice. I like the push to lock feature. The engagement of the switch is very positive. But I think my favorite part about this is the exact same reason why I like that Starrett tap handle, is when I pick it up, I can just feel the pride and craftsmanship of someone who made something that is just beautiful. And even though it works, it's just a joy to use. We're coming near the end of our list. We only have 2 items left, and this grinder is one of the most used tools in my shop. And Milwaukee makes this, but there are other ones out there. And really, I think it's not about this specific tool, but about the concept. And some people love battery grinders, some people hate them, and they have a place, right? A corded grinder is definitely going to do more work, but I find that there are times when I need to do a lot of work and times when I need to do something quick and efficiently. And when it's quick and efficient, I love this grinder. It's battery powered. It has the same power as a corded grinder, but it's efficient. I keep one of these with a grinding wheel and with a cutter wheel, and I always keep it with the battery sitting in the same spot, because every week it seems like 3, maybe 4 times I pick this guy up and cut a bolt or try to cut something that's broken. And it is crazy to me how such a basic tool can come in so handy. You can cut bearing races with it, you can cut broken bolts, you can cut ball joints. It's crazy how useful these tools are, and making them cordless just makes it way easier. So I do like this Milwaukee version. This guy is like a bigger model. I have a smaller one. I like the power this one has specifically, and I really like the on and off switch. I also like the paddle switch as well, but the on and off switch is nice when you're doing some wire wheeling and you don't want to hold the trigger. But overall, I just like the concept of a battery grinder that's well executed, and I think this specific model does that very well. Well, I completely lied to myself because I didn't want to do any large tools, but the more I thought about it, I just could not do this video without mentioning this vise. It is very rare that a product comes along where I am so excited that I just can't wait. And this Fireball Tool hardtail vise is that product. Now, I can tell you for 100% certainty I paid full price for this thing. I waited a long time, but I pre-ordered it within hours of this being released, and I absolutely love this thing. This vise is so overkill, and I love that about it. And you can see this isn't an Instagram reel, right? This vise gets used. It's probably only 1.25 years old, and the jaws are all ground up. It looks like it's got some weld spatter here. This is all greasy. I use this thing and I abuse this thing. And I fully intend on passing this down to the next person in my family when it gets to be that time, because this thing is built like a tank. I 100% want more of these vices, even though I know it is overkill. I really appreciate what Jason is doing over at Fireball Tools. He's really identifying a need in the fabrication industry and fulfilling that need by making really thoughtful and cool products and testing them in the most honest manner he can. And I think this vise just really tells that story. I think one of my favorite part about this vise is, and it's kind of funny, is the text on the side. You can't really see it on that side, but it's like the font they used. It's kind of like maybe like a Stranger Things style font, kind of like that 80s retro font. And I just like how the font is really pressed into the casting here, and it has Spokane, Washington. And I know someone's gonna comment, this vise is made in Taiwan. And I don't think there's much on my list of tools that isn't made in America or Japan or Canada. Most of the stuff that I have, except for the Milwaukee stuff, which is unfortunate, is made in those really awesome places. But this being Taiwanese made is completely fine. There is some really good stuff that comes out of Taiwan, and like a lot of things in life, it's all about who's making it and to what standard. And they do make an American version of this, but it's twice the cost, and this vise is already super expensive. And Jason has reassured everyone that the build quality is no different, and you can tell. I can sit here and ramble about this vise for an hour, and I'm not gonna do that. It's smooth, it's accurate, it's powerful, and mounted to this crazy bench, I can bring things over here and beat on them and pound on them, and it's rigid, it's solid, and it's completely worth the cost. Frankly, even though it's expensive, it may even be a little bit underpriced for the value that you're getting out of this guy. So even though I wasn't gonna bring in a larger tool, I realized I couldn't make the video without talking about this dang vise, because this might be my most favorite non-machine that I own. It's very possible it could be. I love, love, love this thing. My wife will tell you that I love this thing. Everyone knows I love this thing. And when you walk into my shop, everyone notices this dang vise, and it blows everyone's mind how big it is. And it's just that cool. And it's kind of like the essence of my personality. Quality, overbuilt, flashy, unnecessary. That's this vise. So let's move on to the last thing on our list. Well, if you've made it this far in the video, congratulations. We might have saved the best for last. Now, up until this point, everything that I've shown you has not been sponsored, and no one has told me to say anything. I've just been 100% honest about my care and love for the tools I've showed you. And with this last product, it is a little bit different. Now, I showed you in the last couple of videos, I think it was a couple weeks ago, that I've been talking with KBC Tools about a sponsorship between them and me. And like I do around the shop and with you guys on YouTube, I try to be as transparent as possible. And so when they reached out to me, I was excited, but a little skeptical. And finally, I decided to go ahead and spend the money that they decided to give me to purchase whatever I wanted from their store. And there was no need for me to say anything about it. They are not watching this video before you guys see it, and they have told me nothing to be said. But I have waited a long time to talk about this product, and I wanted to make sure when I did it, I would do it the right way, and so that's what we're doing. So they told me that I could purchase anything from their store, and it took me about 8 months to pull the trigger and actually find something I wanted to do. And the reason for that is this. When someone gives me money, like they do, I want to make sure that when I spend that I am intentional and I do it in a way that makes sense. And as easy as it could have been for me to go on and just buy a bunch of cutters and some tool bits and move on with my life, I didn't want to do that. I wanted to make sure that when I spent the money that they gave to me, that it was going to be on something that I was going to use on a regular basis and would allow me to be grateful on a regular basis for the opportunity that they extended to me. And after a lot of back and forth of me deciding what I wanted to purchase, I finally went ahead and settled on this product right in front of me, or several products, which I'm going to talk about. So with all that out of the way, let's jump right in, and I'm going to bring you in close and show you these beautiful micrometers that I got from KBC Tools. As a machinist, you have to acquire tools, no different than any other trade. And one of the most important tools as a machinist that you need is a micrometer. And you got to decide whether it's Mitutoyo or Starrett or Brown & Sharpe, which way you're going to decide and which type of unit you're going to go with. And when I was starting out and I was learning, I decided I would get these Starrett 216 units. And if you're just starting, I would highly recommend these units. And the reason why I really like this 216 series is it has a mechanical digital readout. And the reason why that's beneficial when you're learning is it minimizes mistakes on math errors. So in order to read a micrometer, you have to look at the increments on a thimble and add those up on a calculator and then come up with your final measurement. And that has worked for about 100 years, and it still works today. However, you can make a mistake adding that up and it can trash a part unnecessarily. And there is a skill required to reading a micrometer, which is an important skill to have. However, by going with a digital style micrometer, or mechanical digital, you kind of take that part of learning out of machining. And so when I purchased this 216 0-1, I loved this because all I had to do is bring it over to the part, read the measurement, and I was done. There were no mistakes. Now there could have been mistakes of how I measured it, but when you're learning, there's so many variables that can go wrong that eliminating one of the variables is so helpful in reducing mistakes. And so that's why I loved this 216 series. And I thought these were my forever micrometers. They're really expensive, and I've purchased them one at a time on eBay trying to get a deal, and they no longer make them, so they're kind of hard to find. But that was what I thought was going to be my forever micrometer. And why am I giving you this super long monologue about the 216? Well, this 216, which I have loved so much, has been dethroned. Bring in the Mitutoyo Quantu mics that I got from KBC Tools. Now, as you know, I have labored long and hard to try to figure out what I was going to purchase, and I finally landed on these micrometers. And I can tell you without a shadow of a doubt, this is one of the best purchases, definitely the best purchase in terms of measuring, but possibly one of the best purchases in general that I have made. These micrometers are so good and so much better than a regular micrometer. It is absolutely mind-blowing, and I am not exaggerating. Earlier I talked about this guy right here, Absolute Mic, and how Mitutoyo nailed it, and they did such a good job that nothing needs to be redone. These micrometers follow the exact same logic. And I can tell you, I'm a Starrett guy. I love Starrett stuff. But the Starrett digital micrometers, nowhere near as good. These quick mics are amazing. I don't even know how I could improve them. They are that good. So let me start off with the one that I use the most. And I'm not going to go through each one. They're all the same. They're just different sizes. And kind of as a bonus, I kind of threw this mic stand in here. My mom actually bought me this for my birthday this year, and I use this every day. So my setup, if you walk into my shop and I'm making a part, is almost always this 0-1, or 1-2, or 2-3, set up like this, and I'm measuring my parts, and then when I'm going over to the lathe, I undo the knob and I use it this way. And let me tell you why this is such a big deal. So these micrometers feature a quick mic technology. What that means is that on a normal micrometer, in order to turn the anvil, you have to turn it several times. And I'm not going to sit here and wind this all down, but on the quick mic, look how fast you can advance that mic. And I thought, you know what, this is a gimmick that I don't need, but it's probably nice to have. But I can tell you, when I've been using these for about 3 months now, it is so nice. Measuring is such a big part of machining, and to be able to come up to a part and just quickly change from a small part to a big part, it is very, very nice. And it is so nice that these micrometers, which I've so loved, have sat because these are such a dream to use. The other reason that I like these micrometers is they follow the same line of logic as this guy, and that they absolutely work every single time, and they're accurate and quick and efficient. Not only does this advance quickly, which you would think would reduce some of the accuracy, but the accuracy of this dominates this. It's got like 2 or 3 additional decimal places of accuracy than this guy does. And it's just a dream to use. It has a ratchet stop that works perfectly. It's accurate. It's repeatable. What I love about these is you open them up and you can move them and they'll turn on. I had some older Starrett digital micrometers and you had to hit the on button, and sometimes you had to hit it a couple times. And you know what? I love Starrett, but they sucked. They didn't have it refined. This is refined. You can walk up to one that's been sitting like this. I just moved it so it turned on, but it turns on automatically. It turns off automatically. It advances quickly. It's coolant proof. It's accurate. They look great. Like, I don't know what else to say. They are awesome. And I didn't realize how awesome these would be until I started using them. And guess what? I just absolutely love these guys. If they made these Quantu mics and a pin mic and in all the other ones, I would buy them. But unfortunately, they don't. And they do make quick mics and some of the other options. But I really like the Quantu mic. I just like kind of the color and the look of them. And I wish they would make this style of mic in all the different micrometers. And they unfortunately don't. But these micrometers are 100% the bee's knees. They are extremely expensive. I think that was like $250, $270, $300, $400. So you're looking at like $1,250 of micrometers. Very, very expensive. But I can tell you it is 100% worth it. And in the short run, it's a lot of money, but I know that I will keep these for 20 years and use them every day, and it will be 100% worth every penny. And it's funny to me how not much more expensive these are compared to these. If you go on and look at a Starrett micrometer, even a non-digital, just regular micrometer, it's still like 200 bucks. So when I priced these out compared to a Starrett one, some of these were cheaper than the Starrett digital one. And I know they're better because Starrett doesn't offer the fast adjust and the electronics just aren't as good. And so not only are these good, but I think comparatively they're a better value than the Starrett model. So I absolutely love these things. I cannot say enough. I am extremely grateful to KBC Tools for allowing me to basically purchase whatever I want in their store using that allotted money and requiring no need to say anything. KBC Tools doesn't even make these, so this is a testament to Mitutoyo, not KBC. But I really do appreciate that partnership, and I appreciate the way that KBC is doing business with creators. It is unlike a lot of other partnerships, and I think it's doing it the right way, and so that's why I've been really happy to partner with them. So with that, that wraps up the kind of tour of all my favorite tools. And if you guys have any questions, please post them down below, and we will see you in the next one.